Am I the asshole for forcing my brother and his girlfriend to get an abortion? So I'm a 24-year-old who moved out of their parents' place a couple years back. My parents are terrible people and were very cruel to me and my brother growing up. I've very much enjoyed the space to myself and it has been the only time in my life I've truly felt safe. My twin brother, Zach, didn't move out and was also pretty miserable living with my parents. About 8 months ago he asked if he and his girlfriend, Kat, could stay with me for a while, as he started school a couple years after me and isn't financially in a place where he can afford his own place. Knowing how shitty my parents are, and how much of a good guy and gal Zach and Kat are, it really wasn't much of a decision. I just told them to chip in when they can, and as long as I'm not paying for their food or anything like that, it's chill for the time being. Things have been fine and Zach and Kat have been nothing but respectful to me and my place. The place is on the smaller side, but Zach is usually at school or work and Kat works a good amount of the time, so I'm not usually super bothered by it. Their plan has been to love out once Zach graduates, which will probably be 2023 at the rate he's going. So I'd most likely be living with them another 1.5 to 2 years. Now that wasn't much of an issue to me as they don't really have anywhere to go and I totally get not wanting to move back in without parents. The thing is though is about a week back they revealed to me they were pregnant. While I think it's awesome, and am excited for them, this severely throws a wrench into our living arrangement. I really can't deal with a baby living with us for the extended future. I'm someone who's very sensitive to noises and suffers insomnia. So a crying baby would literally make my life hell on earth. When I asked them what they were planning on doing, they said they were going to keep it as Kat doesn't believe in abortion and they feel as if they'd make good parents. They definitely would, they're great people. I said, oh well, congrats then. We ended the conversation there for that night. The next day I asked them what their plans were for housing in the near future, as they know about my sleeping condition and how I'd feel with a baby, toddler in the house. They said they'd have to stay here as they didn't really have anywhere else to go. I told them that won't be happening for reasons stated earlier. They both got very upset and accused me of forcing them to abort their baby. Too long did not read. Am I the asshole for not allowing my brother and his girlfriend to continue living with me if they have a baby? Not the asshole, that's their problem. You've stated your boundaries clearly, and if that doesn't match up with her beliefs, then they can find another way to manage. You didn't sign up to living with their kid. Not the asshole. You aren't forcing them to do anything. They can have their baby, they just can't do it while living with you. If their family planning is based on being able to live with you rent-free for the foreseeable future, then they can't afford to have a baby. You agreed to house them rent-free for over 2 years, which was incredibly generous. But this is a boundary for you and they need to accept that and stop blaming you for their financial situation. Living with a baby is a lot, especially if the baby isn't yours. You have done nothing wrong here. Edit. Typos. Not the asshole. Get them out. Not trying to be mean here, but with a baby to provide for, they'll mooch off you forever, for both a place to live and babysitting. Get them out. Not the asshole, you didn't sign up for a baby. If they want to keep it, they need to be able to take care of it. If they can't even manage a roof over their head, then they are in no position to have a baby. You are already doing them a huge favor by letting them live there pretty much for free. It's ridiculous that they think you are obligated to continue to support them and their baby. They should have been more careful. It's not your fault or your responsibility. You're forcing them to face the consequences of their decision to be parents by working, paying rent, health insurance, buying everything the baby needs. Basically being adults. They should have money to move out as you've helped them save plenty. You're excited to be an uncle and looking forward to visiting the new addition at their new abode. Or they can move in with your parents. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. They're grown adults, they can work something out. It's not like you've said, you have to move out tomorrow. They've got several months to find a new place. Jumping straight to abortion is rather extreme on their part. Not the asshole. I hate to say it, but it seems your brother and his girlfriend may have learned a bit of cruelty themselves. Phrasing it that way in response to your very reasonable concerns is some pretty rotten manipulation tactics. You extended them a kindness, they decided to change the rules and take a mile out of the inch you gave them. With Thea's selfish attitude coming through, it wouldn't surprise me if they planned to volunteer you for babysitting duty whenever they pleased. You aren't forcing them to do squat. They made 2 decisions about their future, which means they need to make one more about where they will live. Don't be bullied and taken advantage of. NTA. You aren't forcing them to do anything but find different housing. Your brother might have to change his school plans and find a full-time job. Would I be the asshole for telling my 7-year the reason why me and her dad divorced? My daughter F7 has been asking a lot of questions about her dad, which is aka my ex-husband. She still sees her dad via visitation that is supervised by her grandparents, aka ex-mother-in-law and father-in-law. And lately I noticed she's been talking about him a lot in a positive way, and which I'm glad. I picked her up from spending the weekend with her grandparents. She was happy and telling me all the fun things she did with him. Then she asked me if he can come to her Thanksgiving play Wednesday. I then told her no, and I just told her it's too soon and that he probably can't take off work. The actual reason is I have a restraining order against him. Just look at my post history for the actual details. She then told me he told her that he can come, it's just up to me. Which is different story because that freaking pissed me off. So now I'm looking like the one that is preventing him from coming, which he knows exactly why he can't come. So I just tried to explain that daddy just really hurt mommy and I'm still sad about it. She then tells me that daddy is nice now and that I should be forgiving. I then told her just some things are unforgivable. She starts crying. I just feel freaking horrible. I tried to come up with a solution and say I can stay home and her dad can go and I can watch on FaceTime, and it just made her more upset. So I then called my sister and told her about the situation, and she believes it might be time to tell her the truth. But I just think I shouldn't, because if my ex is actually going to parenting classes, anger management and therapy, then he should try to get a relationship with our kids. So would I be an asshole to tell my daughter the truth about her dad? Not the asshole. This is a you toss the court under the bus situation. You tell her that it's neither your decision or her dad's decision. The court has decided that you and dad are not to be in the same location at the same time, and you follow what the court says. Not the asshole. Keep documentation of what he's saying. It's illegal in many areas to try to manipulate the child during separation proceedings. There's apps which will allow all communication to be saved for court. What he's doing is not okay and he should be ashamed of himself. Consult an attorney. Not the asshole. The ex is trying to drive a wedge between you and your daughter. That line of, he can come, it's just up to you, should make that extremely fucking clear. Tell her the truth before he can manipulate her further. This is something that needs to be discussed with a child therapist. They will be able to navigate this better than us. Not the asshole. If he was really bettering himself, he wouldn't be using your daughter to play these manipulative games with you and make you look like the bad guy. He's doing this on purpose, like another commenter said. Please document this. Not the asshole. If he's putting stuff like that in her head, that it's up to you if he comes, then he has not changed and is playing games to pit you two against each other. That's gaslighting. I would try to explain in an age-appropriate way that he hurt you and that the police said that he couldn't be around you anymore, and that's why her grandparents always have to be there if he is around her. Honey, the truth is the courts say he cannot come and be around me. It's not up to him or you. The law says no, not the asshole. You may need to take this one back to court if he's setting you up like this. That said, I think you'd be the asshole if you tried to navigate these waters on your own. She's at a delicate age. I think she can be told some version of the truth, but you need to consult a child psychologist of some sort to come up with a game plan. So not the asshole as long as you involve some form of professional help. Am I the asshole for being angry that my coffee was swapped with decaf? So my boyfriend, 28M, and I, 26F, have recently moved in together. Due to some health issues, I am always tired and struggle to have energy editing, as some people have expressed concern. I know what my health conditions are and am currently on medication from my doctor for it. The coffee simply helps bring me up to a semi-normal level of energy when taken in addition to my medication. This has meant I end up drinking a few cups of coffee a day to keep myself up and going. The last few weeks I've noticed that even my coffee is not helping me, and I'll be honest, it worried me as I thought my health was growing worse. Why else would it not be helping? I told my boyfriend my worry and he told me that he'd swapped out all my coffee for decaf as he was worried about me and how it was healthier for me. I am currently very upset with him as he didn't even consider telling me his thoughts and instead tampered with my coffee without telling me. He says I'm being dramatic and it's just decaf, but I'm wondering if our relationship is something that should continue, as it just seems fucked up to me that he'd think this is not only okay to do but normal. I've told him I need to think about things, which is only upsetting him and making him wonder why I don't see he was trying to do a nice thing. Not the asshole. Huge red flag that he didn't think to ask you or talk to you about his concerns before trying to control you and your food intake, especially as it relates to your health. That's not a nice thing, that's not caring, and that's not okay on any level. You are so right to be upset and angry with him over this. Not the asshole. You never ever screw with someone's food, beverages. He had no right to do that to you, and if I were you I'd be furious. How would he feel if you swapped out something important to him? Sheesh. That's a red flag that he's controlling, op. I'd be more than upset with him if I were you. Not the asshole. If my significant other dared to do something like that I would make a huge scene. Don't touch my dietary choices, and especially, don't mess with my caffeine intake FFS. Not the asshole. If he was worried he should have talked to you, not sneak around and decide what is best for you like you're some child. And his little trick had you worried. How is that better than drinking some coffee? Not the asshole. Nobody has any right to make unilateral health decisions for you. If he was so concerned then he should have talked with you about the caffeine consumption rather than tricking you. He admits it now as if he did nothing wrong, but if he really did nothing wrong then why did he hide his actions in the first place? Edit. Extra assholeness that you have medical conditions and are on medications and he would consider sneaking things into or out of your diet. Just adds the risk that, especially if he expanded beyond coffee, he could be unknowingly changing your diet so that it interferes with your medicine, leaving you and your doctor scratching your heads as to why things are going wrong. Not the asshole. What he did is called food tampering. He changed something in your food you didn't agree to and made you think you were getting worse. You probably also suffer from caffeine withdrawal, which isn't funny. It's controlling and manipulative. I would really examine this relationship to see if there are other red flags. But to me, considering your illness, it would be enough to make me leave. Not the asshole. That is controlling behavior and a huge red flag. There is nothing wrong with a few cups of caffeinated coffee. Not the asshole at all. What happens when he's worried? Your medications aren't helping or the like. He swaps them with Tic Tacs? Location flag. Am I the asshole for taking care of toddler for a few hours because his mother wouldn't wake up? I'll just get to it. Me, my husband and our 1-year-old went visit some friends yesterday. Our friends are also husband and wife, and their 10-month-old son. It was the guy's birthday and we spent the night at their house. There was some drinking involved, but I kept to soda because I have a strong rule against drinking while taking care of my baby son. Me and hubby went to bed in the guest room at about 1 a.m. Our hosts kept the party going until about 5. At 7 in the morning my son woke up. I changed and fed him. I started playing with him and about half an hour later I heard the other baby in the house crying. 15 minutes passed and he was still crying. I went to check on him, and he was wide awake in his crib, and definitely distressed, but both his parents were asleep next to him in their bed. I tried to wake them up, and when I had no luck with that I picked up the baby and some diapers and took him to the guest room. I changed and fed him. I fed him some baby fruit puree which was in their house, so it was safe. After that me and my husband just kept an eye on the boys until our friends woke up, at about 11. Our friends seemed to be okay, but on the ride home, the guy called my husband to tell him that his wife feels a bit embarrassed about the situation. That I should have left the baby there because eventually one of them would have awakened to care for him. But I did try to wake them, and I just couldn't stand the baby crying and knew I was perfectly capable of stepping up and taking care of him for a bit. Am I the asshole? Edit. First of all I want to thank each and every one who took their time to respond and reassure me that I did nothing wrong. Some of you suggested we don't continue the friendship, and we actually gave this a good thinking. But things worked out a bit differently. My friend, the mother, called me half an hour ago. She basically told me that she is sorry this happened, but she feels that what I did was to prove to her that I am a better mother. She told me she doesn't want to feel like she is in a competition with me, and that our friendship is not healthy for her anymore. So, basically the trash took itself out, but I have to admit I am a bit angry. Never, not even for a single minute did it cross my mind that I need to show her I am a better mom. Never have I considered myself a better mom than her. This morning all I could think about was that there was a baby crying and I have the skills to help him. So I acted guided by my instinct and empathy, after I tried to wake them up. Again, thank you all for making me see I am not crazy for feeling happy I helped a baby that needed care. Not the asshole. Who the keeps a party going until 5 am when there's 2 toddlers in the house? You did the right thing and they were negligent. Not the asshole. Your friends are terrible parents for preferring their child is left hungry and crying, just to save them the embarrassment of someone else having to fill in while they snoozed. They should have thanked you instead. Oh, yay, you should have totally left a crying, hungry, and almost certainly soiled diaper-wearing baby alone next to his unconscious and probably hungover parents. I'm sure they will wake up any hour now. Yay, no kidding, the wife is embarrassed. I would hope the husband was, too. I think a heartfelt thank you would have been more appropriate. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You are an amazingly kind person to care for the baby, and they are probably very embarrassed. You never leave a child wailing and in distress if you can fix it. They shouldn't have been drinking so heavily that they couldn't be woken up. What if there had been an emergency? You are supermom, op. Not the asshole. Stupid parents should have never gotten drunk in the first place. And now they're valuing wife's ego over their child who needs to be taken care of. I'd actually not want to be friends with these people anymore. Not the asshole. You did what any parent or normal adult would do. They had a temporary lapse in judgment, you stepped in. All was taken care of, no harm done. Of course they were embarrassed, they were being assholes. Then the guy was a total and complete asshole to double down and call your husband to tell you you shouldn't have taken care of their kid. Assholes. Double assholes. Not the asshole. In sensing the shame of the mom, your husband could have played it off and said that y'all wanted to let them sleep, as a final birthday celebration gesture. Or just insist that it's no trouble at all amongst friends. Although it was really reckless of them to both be so wasted that neither could care for their child. Face with rolling eyes. Bravo to you for having healthy boundaries. Yellow heart. Hands clapping. Hands clapping. Hands clapping. Not the asshole. They are horrible parents and are embarrassed because now you know how horrible they are. These are people who are so drunk they don't wake up when their baby cries, or even when you try to get them up. They need to understand they're not 20 years old in college. They are parents and responsible for the life of another vulnerable human being. It's not acceptable to get this drunk when you have a child. You did the right thing. They need to get their acts together and become actual responsible parents, or their own child will suffer.